All right, so welcome. Right now, we are going to have a conversation called The Art of Authentic Influence. And I want to introduce Amy Walker. She's the one that inspired this video series that's going out for mentors and that with people that are mentors within the Conscious Creator Mentoring Network. And our intention with this is just to create as much massive value for you as we possibly can. Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I put on my leopard print, which always makes me feel good, and I'm ready to roll.
I like it. Will you kind of share your intention and why you felt inspired to create this series? And I guess I'm also interested in having you share what it means for you to be a mentor within the Conscious Creator Mentoring Network and why you chose to be part of this movement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I put this together because, I am a business coach. And one of the things that we like to do is to bring together other experts and create these mastermind type things where it's a great resource for people. They get to learn valuable information. It's free, it's easily accessible, and it connects you with that person. I know you've probably experienced this, Gerald, as you've been growing up in business, but for me, it's like I get to a certain point and all of a sudden I don't know how to get myself to the next level. And whenever that happens, it just seems like the universe opens up. I connect with that person that's going to help me get to the next level. And that's how I create so much growth in my business, is through connecting with mentors and coaches and experts who can guide me and teach me what I need to do. And so I love creating this forum where people can connect, where they can be educated and inspired and uplifted in all the different areas of their life. And that's when I was approached about the Conscious Creators Mentoring Network. That's honestly what attracted me to it. Is it's an opportunity for us to have a place where we have so much information, so much valuable content that you and I have spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars on. I'm sure if we totaled up all of our coaching and seminars we've ever invested in, that's a big chunk of money. And to have it so reasonably priced, I was very impressed by that. The other reason why I joined was because I know I don't have ego to say that I'm the answer for everyone, right? Like, I'm not the answer for everyone. I know that lots of people come our way because they're looking for something, but it's not quite me. And so if I can say, you know what, here's access to all of these other amazing people, here's access to all of my friends, all of my people that I respect in business, and people who I've actually learned from and grown with. If I'm not your answer, then here's a whole bunch of people that might be. I think that's just a really powerful concept, and it flows multiple directions. So I'm excited about the network. I think it's a great value for so many people.
Yeah, I am too. It's one of the things I'm more excited about this than probably anything I've ever been a part of in the past. And I think the reason why is I've really kind of tapped into it. Number one, I feel like it's time. Like I feel like when the time has come for an idea to emerge, like there's just explosive growth. And I've already seen that and experienced it. And there's something inside of me that knows that in terms of us being able to share a message and being able to impact hundreds of thousands of people, like this is a vehicle to be able to do that. I love the idea of residual income, and I love that this provides us a vehicle where we can help other people create residual income while making a big difference and while growing and evolving and becoming the best version of themselves that they can become. I love the fact that we have access to all of this wisdom, all of these thought leaders in every area that you can imagine. I love that through the Conscious Creator Mentoring Network, if someone's struggling with challenge and having challenges with their health and they just want to be able to create breakthroughs there's mentors that can teach them how to do that. If there's people that are struggling in their relationship or their marriage, there's courses within the network that will help them to overcome that and to be able to reconnect and have a thriving relationship. And the business content for people that are struggling in money is so amazing because there's so much value there to teach people how to be an entrepreneur, how to be effective in money, how to be effective in sales, how to overcome the limiting beliefs and blocks that are holding them back. There's so much value just there to support me and ultimately support everyone else that's part of the tribe. So this is just an invitation. If you haven't already made the decision, if you're watching this and you haven't already made the decision to be part of the Conscious Creator Mentoring Network, make that decision and let us support you and helping you create the life that you want. And ultimately, that to me is what the mentoring network is all about, is helping you design an extraordinary and epic life. And so I'm super excited to be here and super excited to share this time. Today we're going to be having a conversation called The Art of Authentic Influence. And I just want to say that through this conversation, we're going to be emphasizing a lot of the principles and skills in order for you to be more influential in your life. And I want you to think about why that's so important. And, there's some people that think I'm not a salesperson, or, I'm not influential. But the reality is every one of us has a responsibility, and we have an influence over others. And the more influence we have, the more we're able to support other people in changing and being able to create the results they want. If you're a mother, you're an influencer. If you're a father, you're an influencer. If you have positions within your church organization or in your community, you're a leader. If you are managing other people at work, or you're dealing with clients at work, you're an influencer. If you're an entrepreneur, you're an influencer. If you're breathing, you're an influencer. And our goal is to just really teach you how to be more effective at influencing and how to understand the art of authentic influence versus manipulation. Amy, talk to me a little bit about your perspective of the difference between manipulation and really kind of forcing someone to do what you want versus what it means to be really authentic in your influence, and why that's so important in today's culture to get what you want.
You know what is funny about that? I am launching my first book in July that is a leadership book. It's called Walk Your Talk, Take Ownership, and Lead Like You Mean It. And there's a whole section in there on the difference between influence and manipulation. And I think one thing we have to start the conversation with is there's more overlap in there than we would like to admit. If we're influencing someone, we have a desire for what's going to happen. We're going to ask questions in a way that's going to lead them towards a desired outcome. And that's the same with manipulation. There's a distinct line though, and when you cross it and you go over into manipulation, it doesn't feel good for you, and it doesn't feel good for the other people involved. And so my husband teases me that I always get what I want. He's like, you always get what you want. And the reason why is because I'm a great influencer. So I do almost always get what I want. But the difference is, in manipulation, I believe that in manipulation, you're saying more or less than what you believe in order to influence the outcome. Whereas in influence, it's just like, it comes from a very authentic place of saying, here's who I am, here's what I believe, here's what I see would be of the best value for all of us involved. And this is one possible outcome. Not the only possible destination where you can go, but this is one possible destination, and here's why I feel like it's good. And then being open to that path changing a little bit. I have 5 children, so I'll use a parenting example. This happens a lot with my older son. I see an objective as a parent of what needs to happen. This is what we need to achieve, and I'll present a path for how we're going to get there. And he, in the beginning, because he's a very, very strong personality, he likes things to be his own way. We would debate about this and get into arguments even of the fact that he didn't want to do it that way. And so after, trial and error, I realized sometimes it's a matter of saying, okay, well, here's the destination. Are you enrolled into this destination? This is the objective. We want more peace in our home. We want less fighting. We want people to feel more comfortable. We want to get this project done. Can I enroll you into going there with me? And once they're enrolled into the destination, then I'm open to how we want to travel. Do you want to ride bikes to get there? Do you want to use scooters? Do we want to drive in the car? I'm really open to how it's going to get done. And so for me, that manipulation line is when I present my destination as the only destination. Like, if you don't go this way to this place, it's just all going to fall apart. And also saying more or less than what I honestly believe in order to get you to opt into what I want you to do. Whereas influence is, hey, there's a lot of great destinations out there, but here's where I would like to go. Here's why I believe in it. Here's why I think it's great. Do you want to come with me? And now that we've decided we're going together, how do we want to get there? What's going to work best that's going to honor you and is going to honor me in going to this new and exciting place or objective or whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish.
I love that, and I love how you mentioned, what honors you and what honors me. And ultimately, when I think about the difference between manipulation and influence, manipulation is more of a one-sided thing. It's just like trying to get what you want at the cost of someone else. But influence is really about honoring the highest in them and honoring it in you, and making sure that both of you are getting what you want and really focusing on the win-win. So I'm really excited about that, and we're going to be talking about some specific principles. I will say that the conversation we're going to have today is just a starter conversation. We're going to cover as much meat and details as we possibly can. But I also want to give a gift to everyone that's here. I've actually created this CD called The Art of Authentic Influence. And ultimately in the CD, I go through the specific keys for networking and how to quickly build meaningful, profitable relationships. I talk more about the difference between influence and manipulation. I talk about how to create rapport and a little subtle secret to be able to create that rapport very quickly, and some very specific principles on how to guide the conversation to any outcome you desire. This is a CD that I charge for $47, for, but I want to give it to you as a gift just because you're here and you're participating in this series. If you go to geraldrogers.com /influence, you'll be able to download that as a free gift. So let's dive into this, Amy, and really talk about some of the core nuts and bolts during the time that we have. Let's first of all set the stage with the areas in which we influence people. Today's conversation is going to be directed towards influencing people from a business perspective of helping you gain new clients and helping you increase your sphere of influence. Mm-hmm. But you also influence people in your home and like Amy was sharing with her kids, with every relationship is based on influence. And there's a model that I teach which is called the 6 levels of intimacy and influence. And I just want you to think about how all of these different relationships exist in our life, beginning with a very, very far outside of the circle. There is a circle of total strangers. I mean, there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. How many do you know? I mean, you only know like a handful, right? And so anyone outside of those, on the very furthest edge of the circle is the strangers. But then the next circle inside of there is the acquaintances. These are all the people that you know, but you don't know that well. You may recognize their face, you may know their name, but you haven't really invested in or built a meaningful relationship with them. From there, one circle in from there, as we go closer and closer into this model of intimacy and influence, are your friends, right? These are the people that you know their name, you've experienced some things, you've invested time with them, and so they're closer and closer into the sphere of influence where there's a connection that you share with them, and you probably have everyone probably has a couple hundred friends that fit within that circle. Inside of there, the next level of circle of influence these are your core friendships. These are what I call your lifelines. These are the people that you spend time with, quite frequently, and you have this deep, meaningful connection where you can be really authentic with them in terms of where you're at, where you're struggling, what your dreams are, what your hopes are. These are the people that you can reach out to and call at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you know that they're going to be excited to hear from you. Or you know that they're going to be there for you and they'll drop anything to be there. I don't think we have a ton of time or space in our life to have a lot of lifelines, but I think everyone should have between 5 to 7 core lifelines that you can reach out to, that you have that deep soul-to-soul connection. One layer in from that is your spouse or your intimate partner, your soulmate. And in an ideal world, your spouse will be a soulmate. In your ideal world, they will be someone that you share a really intimate personal connection with. I know that's not always true. It should be true, but sometimes people feel like the person they're married to, they aren't that close to. But the soulmate type connection is one where you share at such a deep personal level that they know everything about you, you know everything about them, and you have this path together, this journey together, and they're the closest person to you. Inside of that is your self and your connection to God. I always in this model, I always talk about our connection with God and our connection with ourselves being one and the same. This is just my own personal spiritual philosophy. I feel like the more we know God, the closer we are to God, the closer we are to understanding ourselves and knowing ourselves. And likewise, the more we understand ourselves, the more we honor ourselves, the more we really connect with our own divinity, the more we understand God. So right now we're going to be talking about how to bring people closer and closer into these inner circles of intimacy and influence, and how to take someone who's a total stranger and bring them into your world of acquaintances and then friends. And so let's talk a little bit about networking, Amy, and I would just love to have you share a little bit of your perspective of some of the most important keys in developing this first stage of influence when you're meeting someone for the first time. What are some keys that you've noticed as you've been networking or connecting with people to build those initial stages of friendship?
I'm going to start inside, and I like your different layers. I've never heard you teach that principle before, but that's fantastic. I honestly am going to start with you and your connection with God, because in your core, in that very internal level of you and your connection with God, if you're good on that level, you're so much more capable to attract people in. And so that I would put that as my first. If you've got some messiness or some concern going on in that level, it radiates out, and it's hard for you to want to bring people close to you when you're having a hard time being close with your source. And so I would start right there. Second thing is, I hate networking meetings. I really hate networking meetings. You know, the ones where you go and everyone's passing business cards and it feels like sharks and minnows, and everyone's talking more than they're listening. I don't like that setting for networking. It's never felt authentic for myself to get dressed up, put on a smile, and go in and try to, my husband calls it, shake hands and kiss babies. It's not my way of networking. However, I love creating connections. And so now I'm not saying that networking meetings are bad, because some people really do like them. They like to meet a lot of people fast and furious. They feel like they can connect really quickly. What I would say is find how you like to connect with people and get really consistent at doing it. I like talking with people one-on-one more in the beginning, or one-on-few. So I would rather go to a place where I know that the people who are there are going to be the type of people that I am looking to connect with, and where we can build relationships beyond just that event right there and giving each other people business cards. I also like to listen more than I talk when I'm networking. I want to know you, I want to know what your needs are, and I want to be hearing where I fit into the puzzle, instead of just trying to insert myself into your life when I don't know anything about it. I don't know what you need. I don't know whether you need me or don't need me. I like to listen a lot more than I talk in the beginning. I also really like to, one of my philosophies is talk to everybody like they're your best friend. I don't like to I tried this for many years in business, trying to be really professional and really, I wore black power suits and tried to put on my professional front, and I'm just kind of quirky. I'm kind of goofy. I'm a little bit of a spaz. And if I have to try to put on a front for you, it's a lot of energy for me to try to remember what that face was I put on when we first met and wear it for forever. I can't do that. So I really like to go in and just talk to everybody like I would my friend. And if we have a connection, then I know it's because we actually legitimately connect, not just because you liked the face that I was wearing in the moment when we happened to meet. So those are some of my tips for networking. Find what works for you. We have great conversations with people that start online. We have great conversations with people that start offline. It's just a matter of, being authentic and forging that common ground and listening. Listening's great.
I love that, and that's so true. Like, I think one of the biggest challenges people experience when they're networking or meeting people is they get stuck in their own agenda. And when we're stuck in our own head and we're trying to convince someone of our agenda, it's very hard for us to listen. It's like we're talking, but we're not opening our ears. And this is where people get into the space of what we call verbal vomit, where they just take everything that they're passionate about and they just like throw up all over the other person, just with all the reasons why they think that they should buy their product or service or whatever, And I know we've all been the victim of other people for verbal vomit from time to time.
Own it. We've probably all done it before too.
Well, definitely, for sure. So I think the art of authentic influence requires a high degree of listening. One of the things Stephen Covey says in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is he talks about the importance of seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I think that's really where the connection comes, where you're really setting aside your agenda and you're aligned with an intention that says, I really want to get to know you. I really want to understand you. I want to really find out what's going on in your world so that I can actually communicate and meet with you there. And you think about how simple that philosophy is, but how important it is. And you think about how maybe that would affect world leaders who are like, trying to get their own political agendas. What if they actually took some time to really listen and to see the other person's perspective and to understand their challenges, imagine what would happen. But especially in terms of, as you're developing greater levels of intimacy and connection and influence in someone's life, it begins with really trying to understand them and trying to see where they're really at. And this is for me, the greatest secret to the art of authentic influence is getting out of the head and into the heart. And really being able to open up your heart and connect from that space, because when you do that, it's easy to be authentic. When you're connected with your heart, it's easy for you to influence others because they're not threatened by you because you're trying to get something from them. They sense that love. They sense that sincerity. I think another key in terms of authentic influence when you're meeting someone for the first time is, especially like if there's large groups of people, focus on going deeper with fewer rather than shallow with many. I've noticed this happen where I go to networking meetings and there's people out there and just like, hey, and they're just out there handing out as many business cards as they can.
They're like flicking them across the room. Here you go, do my business.
like they think that somehow like you're going to be interested in working with them just because they ran, hey, my name is here's my business card, and then they off to the next person. You're like, whoa, all right. And then like inevitably, like I have their business card and it's like I have no use for this business card because I have no connection to that person that just flew by and handed me their business card. Like, why would I ever want to do business with someone like that? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how that makes sense to them, but I've seen that happen. Rather than trying to connect, look, if there's 100 people in the room, I'm just looking for 1 or 2 like meaningful connections. Honestly, like I'm just looking for the people that I really resonate with, that I really connect with, and part of the part of authenticity is just really be aware that there's some people that aren't a match, for you. Mm-hmm. They're not a match, and that's totally fine. And sometimes if we try to force everyone into this, box of, okay, I want to find a way to work with you, it doesn't work. And so sometimes being authentic just means that you invest your time other places than that person. I
think if you're trying to create a business where everyone wants to work with you, then no one knows who you are clearly enough to really feel good about working with you, because you've got to have a distinct brand. It's, we don't want to be the vanilla of our industry. We want to be a very specific flavor that other people will look at it and say, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I've been looking for, because they're easier to work with afterwards, because they knew exactly what they were getting. They knew exactly what they were buying into, and they wanted it and they chose it.
Yeah, and that's really important to understand is I really, really love when people say no to me. Like, I really do. It's so interesting because I lived so long in this fear of rejection where I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted everyone to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized, it's like if you're going shoe shopping, you're going to try on a bunch of different shoes before you find the right shoe. And if it's not a match, you shouldn't buy it. And I feel the same in business. And if if what I'm offering to someone isn't a match for them, I'm so grateful when they say no, because then I can focus my time on the people that are in alignment, the people that are my people. And that makes all the difference, because no longer am I afraid of rejection, right? And no to me isn't like they're rejecting me as an individual, because I'm really secure. Like, I'm the center circle. I'm okay with me. I love myself. And so if someone else says no, I know it has nothing to do with who I am or my worth as an individual on this planet. I just know that they're just saying it's not a match. And I'm totally fine with that, because I'm not trying to be a match for everyone. I'm trying to be a match for those that are in total alignment with me. And so that's an important mindset to have, is just to be open. I feel like the most valuable question in this space of building these initial connections is a question that just says, how can I help you, right? That is the single most powerful networking question, because all of a sudden you're already out of your own agenda and you're like, okay, what's going on in your life? How can I serve you? How can I help you? And then asking powerful questions is a way to continue to expand that. Another really powerful networking question is, what's one goal or challenge that you're working on right now that either me or someone in my network could help you with? And that is such a powerful question, because number one, they'll share what their goals are, what their challenges are. They're going to share something that is important to them. But then the second piece is you're already demonstrating that you're a person of influence, and that you have a network and you have ways to be able to support them in getting what they want. Mm-hmm. And so that first step of bringing them closer and closer to this space of influence and connection and intimacy is you being really curious about what's going on, and then seeking to serve. I think that's such a huge component of being able to be successful in business today, is like really seek to serve. And a lot of people, as you move from that level into the deeper level of the business relationship, where you're going to be actually offering your products and services, a lot of times people have a lot of stories or limited beliefs around sales. Amy, what are some of the biggest blocks that you see people experience around sales or around influence?
I think that we set ourselves up to fail when we tell ourselves the words, that's just not me. I'm just not a salesperson. And here's my analogy, Gerald, because I train on sales. I'm very serious about people converting on their programs. My analogy is, I'm not really a cook, right? I'm not a great cook. I've never been a great cook. I'm not one of those people who walks into the kitchen, pulls out a little of this, a little of that, whips it up into something amazing. But I do have children. And me being a business owner and saying, I'm just not a salesperson, that's just not me, is like me being a mother and saying, I'm just not a cook, that's just not me, so I'm just not going to feed these kids. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. We would never think, oh, I'm not going to feed my children because I'm not a cook. We would get recipe books and we would learn how to do it, and we would find some skills and have someone teach us, how do I do this? And I am a functional cook. My children eat every day. Do they love everything I make? No, but they eat every day and they get fed every day. And we have to take that same level of ownership in our business and say, if I'm in business, if I have an idea, a product, or a service that I believe is going to bless and benefit the lives of the people that get to enjoy it, then I have a duty, just like I've got a duty to feed my children, I've got a duty to learn enough to be proficient in my sales. And, you don't have to be the only person in your organization who's selling for forever, but you do have to learn enough in order to be able to convert people into your business. Now, if you don't have a product, a service, or a message that you believe is going to bless and benefit to people, you're just in the wrong business, and you're not going to be able to sell it anyway. It doesn't matter how many skills you have if you don't believe in it. Find something that you do believe in, that you're passionate about, and then sales is simply a skill. The first time I ever tried to sell to someone, I was felt like I was going to throw up. My armpits were sweaty. I was selling to my cousin's wife, and my cousin came and sat down next to me and said, "Amy, are you physically in pain? Because you look like you are." And I was like, "Kind of." And I can convert over $40,000 a month in sales on my own now. So that's where I started out. And had I thought that story of I'm just not a salesperson, this is just not me, I would never have accomplished the things that I've accomplished, and I would have never been able to serve on that same level. So number one, stop buying that story. It's a really expensive story, really expensive, and I promise you can't afford it. And then I think the number two thing is you've got to be comfortable with conversations about exchange. And it's not just money. I have friends who I'll offer service and they reject my service because they're not comfortable with exchange. They're not comfortable with me giving to them and them receiving it. But the same friends are willing to drop anything and come help me when I need it. So we have to be comfortable with exchange of time, exchange of service, exchange of energy, exchange of money. That there needs to be a flow of that it just cycles through.
I love that. Such huge principles. And I think that a lot of people, when you think of sales, people have these different images. In your mind, I love doing this in workshops. It's like when you think of sales, like what are the first words that you think of? Slimy, manipulative, dirty salesman, or greedy. Like all of these really negative connotations exist.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, all of us are in sales. But I even personally, I don't like the word sales. I don't like the idea of closing someone. The words that resonate with me personally are, I love the word influence. I love the word leadership, because ultimately that's all we're doing is we're leading them to help them get what they want. I love the word service, right? Like sales is service. Like I'm just here as a servant trying to help someone else overcome a challenge or problem that they have. And if my product can really help them get what they want, how would I be so greedy not to share that product with them, or not to do what I can to lead them to make a decision to buy it, right? Like I feel like it's my responsibility to assist them in making that decision if it really.
Well, and it's not your responsibility to decide for them. It's just your responsibility to give them the options and the choices. They need to have the options and the choices. And if we don't ever share that, then we're limiting their options, we're limiting their choices, and maybe they really needed it. Maybe they really wanted it. But if we didn't show them in a way that it can create space and land in their brain for them to be able to make a decision, then we've done them a disservice.
Exactly. And I know so many times in my life, I didn't make the invitation to someone because I was afraid of being rejected. And so I didn't offer what I had to them because I didn't want to feel salesy, right? And I think of all the people I ripped off because of that. All the people I ripped off by not giving them a solution that could have helped them in their life. And so hopefully that mindset that says you're a servant, you're someone there to lead them and to help them get what they want, then it inspires you to actually build the skill set required to be effective as an influencer. I'm going to go through four core keys of being influential in that sales conversation. And once again, if you go to geraldrogers.com/influencer to be able to download the CD that goes into some more details about that sales process and about being influential. But here's the four keys that I think that are important. The first is inquire. The second is instruct. The third is inspire. and the fourth is invite. So consider these are your 4 gateways that you're going to be leading them through when you're having a sales conversation to help them make a buying decision. We live in a culture where we need to educate them first on the solution that's out there, but it requires us to really understand who they are to be able to effectively instruct them. So the first step is to inquire, and I know, Amy, you're big on this in terms of your sales teaching as well. But inquiring is like the most important part of the conversation. When I'm setting up a one-on-one consultation or strategy sessions with someone, I'm probably going to spend a good 70 to 80% of the conversation just asking them questions, because this space of influence requires me to really understand what's going on in their life. I love the analogy. I love the idea of when you are there as a salesperson, a person of influence, an expert that's there to support them in making a decision. I always look at myself as like a doctor, right? If you go in to meet with a doctor, how would you feel if they just jumped straight to telling you what you should buy without asking you any questions, right? Like, oh my gosh, no, like you don't even know what's going on, right? It's very hard to trust that doctor, but the doctor will sit down and say, tell me what's going on. What have you tried? Where is it hurting? You know, how long has this been a problem? And he's just going to ask questions until by the end, he's just going to say, okay, well, this is what I recommend. He's going to basically be giving you the prescription. Amy, what do you feel like are some keys in terms of asking effective questions as you're influencing someone to make a decision to work with you?
I am a big proponent of scripting things out, and I think when you are, and I know, Gerald, you and I are really different in that sense. I'm a lot more structured, and you're very good at being intuitive in the moment. I know for me, if I don't know what I'm going to ask when I go in, my questions aren't as powerful. So I actually take time to think through before, what are some powerful questions that I can answer, and kind of script it out. And then the other thing that I think is really important is to listen to your gut, because sometimes they'll tell you an answer and your gut tells you that's not quite it. And so if you just leave it there and move on, you haven't really gotten to the root of what's going on. One of my core beliefs is that every conversation that I have with someone, whether they purchase from me or not, I want to leave them more committed to getting their life where they want it to go. And so if I leave them at the surface, then they don't ever get deep enough to really be committed to changing their life. And so when your gut tells you we're not quite there yet, listen to it and ask more follow-up questions. Don't beat them up with your questions. That's never what we want to do. We want our questions to open them up and lift them up, but you can also use questions to beat people down, and you've got to be really careful to make sure that you're using the right types of questions that are going to leave the person better than you found them. Whether or not they buy from you, you want to leave them better than you found them.
I love that. And as you were saying that, I realized that I should have began with actually the first step, which is underlying all of the things, which is beginning with the right intention. If you have the right intention, I'll always begin my sales calls with the conversation that says, all right, well, I'm really excited to take this time to talk to you, and I just want to share what my intention is. My intention is to be here to serve you and to help you identify, where you want to go with more clarity, where you're at right now, where you might be feeling stuck, and really by the end of the conversation, being really clear, what are the next steps to help you move forward, and if it makes sense for us to work together, I'll share with you what that might look like. And so I'm laying that intention where I'm here to serve them. And then I say, is there anything else specifically that you want to get out of this time that we spend together? And I give them an opportunity to share their intention as well. And I mean, inevitably they say, no, that sounds good. But that intention is good. And then through that inquiring stage, you're just asking questions. And I think it is important that you are clear on what those questions are as you're beginning the conversation, because those questions are going to empower you to be effective and focused. But you're really kind of exploring what's important to them, where they want to go, and what their goals and dreams are, and you're helping them gain this really, really bright vision of what the future could look like. But part of the inquiring too is really having them be authentic with the challenges and pain that they're experiencing. Here's one of the things I've noticed is if you as the salesperson, as the influencer, lead with authenticity, the other person will be authentic as well. If you're wearing a mask, if you're trying to posture, if you're trying to pretend like you have it all figured out, it's going to be very, very hard for them to be vulnerable with you. So be vulnerable, be real, and invite them to do the same, and invite them to share like what the real pain is that they're experiencing. Ultimately, people make a decision to change because of the pain that they're experiencing, and that's where the commitment comes. And so, Amy, what are your thoughts in terms of why it's important for people to be really in tune with their pain in order for them to move forward and create results in their life?
Well, it's uncomfortable to change. That's the truth of it. It's uncomfortable to change. And so we have two places of discomfort. We have the discomfort in where we're at right this moment, and we have the discomfort in what it's going to take for us to get where we want to go. And if you're masking your personal pain of where you're at right now, if you're looking at it and, making yourself feel as though it's okay, and telling yourself, oh, it's okay, we're fine right here, we're going to be okay, and you're kind of self-soothing the pain, then you're going to live in that discomfort, and you're going to live in that pain because you're used to it, and the new pain is unfamiliar. It's hard to get somewhere new. And I don't mean hard in terms of, no, I'm going to own that. It's hard. You're going to have moments as you progress on your path to growth where you're going to feel like every ounce of you is kind of beat up and you just want to grab your blankie and go to bed. And that's okay. You can grab your blankie and you can go to bed, and then you can get up tomorrow and you can give it another go until you get where you want to go. And it becomes easier. The longer you do it, the more natural it is for you to overcome obstacles and to create success and to face your pain and your fear head on. It becomes more natural, but it's not in the beginning. In the beginning, it's like, okay, I gotta get myself going, and oh my gosh, it's just like when I start exercising, when I haven't done it in a while, my muscles, we were talking about this before the call, the muscles are like, that's how you feel when you start with personal growth. But the more that you go, the more capable you are. So you have to be willing to look at that pain right here, right now, in order to be willing to go through the sore muscle pain of growth and changing your life.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're going to be wrapping up this really quickly. I just want to go over the final 3 steps really quick. After you've really inquired, you really know what's going on, then you have an opportunity to instruct them and give them some pointers, give them some ideas, really establish your value. And in doing that, you're going to inspire them about what's possible, inspiring them to see a vision of what their life could be, and then how your product or service will actually help them to get to that result faster and easier. And the final stage is just inviting and just giving that very clear invitation where it's, say, this is what I recommend for you. Are you ready? Are you in? Just giving that very clear invitation to help them move forward. And when you do these things and come from your heart, you'll notice that regardless of the outcome of that conversation, you'll have greater influence and connection with that individual. And you'll notice more often than not, they'll be ready to move forward to work with you because they know, they trust you, and they know that you are someone that is there looking out for what's best for them. Any really quick final thoughts, Amy?
No, I appreciate you for taking the time and collaborating with us to create this amazing event. I know that we've got people who are listening to this going, okay, I'm loving all the mentorship that I'm getting, and I do want more. So my invitation for all of you is connect with the person that invited you. You might have gotten invited by Gerald, you might have been invited by me or Anne or one of our other trainers, or you may have just been invited by your friend who's in our network. And so connect with them and say, I want more, because honestly, for $99 a month, $99 a month, you can have access to all of us, plus many, many more top trainers in industries across the board. You can get parenting advice, health advice, coaching on business, coaching on sales. There's so much available to you. So I just invite you to take that next step.
And you say $99 a month, but like honestly, I get paid right now over $1,000 a month for being part of this network, right? So it's not even something I pay for. I get paid to learn, and it's fantastic. And if you're looking for a residual income opportunity, if you're looking to find a way so that in the next couple of years you can have a couple $1,000s a month in passive residual income coming in, this is one of the most powerful ways to do that. And you get to learn, and you get to grow, and you get to be surrounded by like-minded people and powerful mentors like Amy or myself or all these other people. So just reach out to the person that invited you to be part of this series and say, yes, I want to be part of this network. I want to be part of this tribe. I really want to expand my ability to succeed in my life. And I really look forward to being part of your journey with that. So with that, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Amy, thank you so much for who you are and your gift and all of the wisdom that you share. Really, I'm always honored to be able to play with you and excited to play more in the future. And for everyone else, just go out there, create an amazing day. Remember, you are influential and you are powerful. And remember, you got one life to live. Live big. Thanks a lot, Amy. We'll talk soon.